So I had the chance to train with two Olympic medalists. I started weightlifting at the age of 11 years old, and like right away when I started, I was training with one Olympic medalist, which was Vencelas Zabaya. He took silver at the Pekin 2008 Olympic Games. And then a little bit later, when I was 13, 14, 15 years old, I was training with Ivan Camber. He's another Olympic medalist in London. And I truly want to show you guys the three lessons that I learned from them because I found them super useful, and I didn't learn them right away. But as I was reflecting on my career this weekend, I was like, damn, I've been applying a lot of principles that I learned from them subconsciously in my training, and it has truly helped me, become national champion, become the first judo medalist in my country. So I truly want to talk about it a little bit more and just give you guys the three lessons that I learned from them. So number one lesson that I learned, and this was from Ivan Camber. He's once again Olympic medalist, and he was coming back from retirement after 4 years of not training. And when like the first 3, 4, 5 months, like the dude was not lifting heavy at all. Like I remember him snatching like 90 kilos, 100, 90 kilos, 110, 120, 130. Like he was not going heavy at all. And as much as he progressed in his training, he went on to train with my coach, and he did, I think it was 160 and 195, which was like very, very close to his personal records. And something that I truly learned from him is that maxing out in training is fucking stupid. I remember him telling me like, dude, like stop trying to go heavy. Like you're young, and even me, like I'm 35 years old. That's what he was telling me. I'm 35 years old. Do you ever see me go heavy in training? It's like, no, it's very occasional, right? And he was like, where you need to go heavy is in a very, very planified either competition or training session. Going heavy on a weekly basis was something he was really against, right? He was always training smart. He was doing a bunch of variations. He was doing a bunch of accessories. Dude had the craziest physique ever and the craziest recovery ever. And it was simply because he will never end the training session super tired. He will never end the training session like, oh, I'm so sore, right? He will always leave a little bit in the tank for the next day. And obviously this is a very smart game that you need to play because there's a very fine line in between training smart and not training enough, right? Obviously, and then we've got online, in the online weightlifting space, it's like always like max out Friday, Red Bulls, Monsters, like that's also bullshit, right? So you need to find the right balance with your training system, and that's truly something that I learned from him. Lesson number two, and this one I learned from the other Olympic medalist, was Vencelas Davaya. It was this dude when he came to train with us. He had bombed it out in like 3 or 4 competitions, something like that. And when he arrived, in the beginning it was a little bit hard, but he started getting in shape and in shape and in shape until I remember him doing 10 sets of clean jerks at 175 kilos, clean and jerk at 70, 71 kilos body weight, which is freaking insane, right? Like 10 sets. And he got a really good shape. And what truly changed everything for him was trusting in his coach. He didn't trust the coaches in the national team anymore. And that truly started like, affecting his mindset and affecting his confidence and affecting, what he was doing, because he wasn't sure about if what he was doing was actually correct, if his training program was actually correct. That was like one of the main lessons I learned from him. Like when he arrived into Spain, my past coach, he was talking a lot to him. He was like, hey, like let's do this, blah blah blah. He was talking a lot to him like for hours, and he started to truly trust my past coach, and he got to some crazy shape to the point where I think he became European champion the year after. And so that's the lesson number two. You need to truly trust your coach. You need to trust what you're doing. If the moment you have a doubt, you need to reach out to your coach, or you need to, if you have a lot of doubts, then it's not a good fit anymore, right? And there's nothing wrong with changing coaches once or twice in your career. I've done it once, right? And so there's nothing bad about that. Obviously, then if you change 2, 3, 4, 5 times of coaches, the problems are not the coaches, the problem is you, right? I often get on calls with athletes and they've been like on 4 programs, 6 different coachings, and I'm like, dude, I don't want you to set up my coaching because the problem is not the coaches, the problem is you, right? And those are the top 2 lessons. Then the last lesson that I truly learned from Ivan Kambor was that prehab is required if you don't want to do rehab, right? And so what do I mean by this? Everyone's so focused on rehabilitation, right? But he was doing a lot of prehabilitation, right? So he was doing a bunch of exercises before every single one of his training. He had a very solid and structured warm-up protocol and mobility protocol after his session. He was doing a lot of accessories, and you could see his physique. Like, dude looked like a bodybuilder. No, obviously you don't need to look like a bodybuilder in order to lift heavy weights or to add 10, 20, 30 kilos to your total. But still, if you do accessories and you eat good, you're eventually going to look pretty jacked. You get what I'm saying? So that's something that, you know, I truly applied for him, is to truly focus on prehab instead of focusing on rehab, right? Because if you focus on prehab, you don't need to do rehab. And I've truly learned a lot from these 2 athletes, and that's where the importance of training with people that are better than you comes. If you're training in fucking Planet Fitness, where you're the only weightlifter, or you're training in your garage, there's nothing wrong with that, but sometimes you need to train with better lifters, right? At least do it once a month or twice a month, because that's what's truly going to show you what's possible. You're going to see this dude, he's going to be warming up for 15 minutes, he has a super solid mobility protocol and warm-up protocol, and you're going to be like, oh, wow, I like this exercise, let me try it. And then boom, 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 and you keep getting better and better and better until you start lifting more than the other dude, right? And so there's a lot to be learned from high-level athletes, and even like during weekends, dude. Like, I run a business, so I'm not really, you know, like, I don't really follow with lifting that much. I might watch like one video every like 5-6 days, but whenever you have time, like you have 10-15 minutes, watch some high-level weightlifters train, right? Or go to a weightlifting training club, or go to train with some very good lifter. That's surely going to take you to a next level, right? Now, there's that, and then there's weightlifters that say, oh, I'm not actually good at weightlifting because I train alone, or because I don't have a good environment. Let me tell you, dude, I became national champion training by myself. I became Pan American champion by training by myself. I did 160, 185 by training by myself. So yes, it's good to train with other lifters, but if you don't have a choice, then don't use it as an excuse of, oh, my environment. You make your own environment. You are your own motivation. You're the one who needs to be driven, because you're the one with the strong why. And if you don't have a strong why, then yourself and ask yourself, why am I doing with lifting, right? So those are the few lessons that I learned from training with some of the best lifters in the world.